a humid afternoon by the riverbank, where the crystal clear water shimmered under the bright sun. The tortoise, known for his sly nature, approached a group of vibrant fishes that swam near the edge. The river bustled with the chatter of the fishes, their scales reflecting a rainbow of colors as they darted about. The tortoise, with a cunning smile, addressed the fish. "My dear friends, have you ever wished to see the world from above, to be taller and stronger than ever before?" The fishes, curious and excited, swam closer, forming a tight circle around the tortoise. The eldest fish, with a silvery sheen and wise eyes, observed from a distance, cautious yet intrigued. "How can we become taller?" a young fish asked eagerly, her fins fluttering with anticipation. "Simple," the tortoise replied, his eyes gleaming with deceit. "I have discovered a secret method. All you need to do is jump into this pan of oil and you will emerge transformed." With a swift motion, the tortoise produced a large, shining pan filled with oil. He set it over a makeshift fire, the oil soon bubbling with heat. "One by one, my friends. Jump in and see the magic," urged the tortoise, waving his limbs with enthusiasm. The fishes, driven by their dreams of grandeur, began to leap into the pan. One after another, they plunged into the sizzling oil, disappearing beneath the surface. The elderly fish watched in horror, noticing that none of those who jumped were returning. Realizing the treachery, the old fish quietly swam away, vowing to remember this day. The cunning squirrel. Having finished his grisly task, the tortoise filled a large sack with the fried fishes, slung it over his shoulders, and began his journey to the neighboring village. He trudged along the forest path, humming a tune, his mind already savoring the meal he would share with his friend, the squirrel. Reaching the road that led to the squirrel's house, the tortoise paused. "I don't want to share my prize," he muttered to himself, and hid the sack behind a large tree, making sure it was well concealed. Satisfied, he continued on to the squirrel's house. The squirrel, with his sharp eyes, had seen the tortoise hide the sack. He greeted his friend warmly, his bushy tail twitching with hidden excitement. "Welcome, my friend. What brings you here today?" The tortoise, trying to appear nonchalant, replied, "Just passing by. I had some rubbish to dispose of, so I threw it away." The squirrel, suspicious of his cunning friend, whispered to his son to investigate. The young squirrel scurried off and returned shortly, whispering to his father, "It's not rubbish, father. It's a sack full of fish." The squirrel, suppressing a grin, whispered back, "Take out the fish and fill the sack with stones. Leave just a few fishes on top." Nodding, the young squirrel set off to complete the task. He carefully removed most of the fishes, replacing them with heavy stones, and then placed 3 fishes on top of the pile. The fox's den. After enjoying the squirrel's hospitality, the tortoise bade farewell and returned to the hiding spot. Seeing the 3 fishes on top, he felt reassured. "All my fish are safe," he thought, and set off to visit his next friend, the fox. Reaching the fox's den, the tortoise again hid his sack behind a tree before entering. The fox, with his keen senses, had already smelled the fish, but chose to play along. "Welcome, tortoise. What brings you to my humble abode?" The tortoise, with a sly grin, answered, Just visiting, my friend. I had to get rid of some rubbish, so I left it outside. The fox, not fooled for a second, entertained his guest. After a delightful meal and lively conversation, the tortoise left, confident his sack was untouched. The tortoise's discovery. As the tortoise neared his home, he felt a wave of anticipation. He placed the sack on the ground and opened it, expecting to find his treasured fish. To his shock and dismay, he found the sack mostly filled with stones. Who could have done this? He fumed. Was it the squirrel or the fox? Determined to uncover the truth and exact his revenge, the tortoise devised a plan. He would visit both friends again, this time with a test to reveal the culprit. The squirrel's confession. The tortoise first returned to the squirrel's house carrying an empty sack. He greeted the squirrel, his eyes sharp with suspicion. "My friend, I've been tricked. Someone replaced my precious fish with stones. Do you know anything about it?" The squirrel, maintaining his innocent facade, replied, "How terrible! Who would do such a thing?" The tortoise, observing the squirrel's reaction, decided to bait him. "I have a plan to catch the thief. Would you help me?" The squirrel, sensing danger, nodded. "Of course, anything for you, my friend." The tortoise explained his plan to leave another sack, this time filled with nothing valuable, to see who would tamper with it. The squirrel, realizing the tortoise suspected him, played along, but inside, he knew he had to stay ahead of his friend's cunning. Back to the fox's den. Next, the tortoise visited the fox, presenting the same story and seeking his help. The fox, ever the trickster, agreed readily, eager to see the drama unfold. "We'll set a trap and catch the thief together," the tortoise proposed. The fox, hiding his amusement, agreed. "It's a brilliant plan. We'll catch the culprit red-handed." The final deception. With both friends seemingly on board, the tortoise set his trap. He filled a new sack with worthless items and left it behind the same tree near the fox's den, watching from a distance. To his surprise, it wasn't the squirrel or the fox who approached the sack, but a small bird, attracted by the shiny material. The tortoise realized that his cunning friends were too smart to fall for such a simple trick. Returning to the fox's den, he decided to confront his friend directly. "I've caught the culprit," he lied, testing the fox's reaction. The fox, intrigued, asked, "Who was it?" "It was a bird," the tortoise replied, watching the fox's eyes. "But I still believe one of you replaced my fish with stones." The fox, sensing the tortoise's ploy, laughed heartily. "Perhaps you should look closer to home, my friend. Sometimes the answer is right under your nose." The elder fish's revelation. Defeated and confused, the tortoise returned home. As he approached the riverbank, he saw the elderly fish swimming near the edge. "You look troubled, tortoise," the fish said, his eyes wise and knowing. The tortoise, burdened by his failure, confessed, "I was tricked. My friends stole my fish and replaced them with stones. I don't know who to trust." The elderly fish, who had witnessed the tortoise's earlier deception, replied calmly, "Perhaps it's a lesson, tortoise. Deceit often leads to unexpected consequences. Those who live by trickery are often tricked themselves." Realizing the truth in the fish's words, the tortoise sighed, "I have much to learn." With a heavy heart, the tortoise returned to his home, reflecting on his actions. He vowed to change his ways, understanding that true friendship could not be built on lies and deceit. And as he settled in for the night, he couldn't help but wonder if he would ever truly outsmart those around him, or if his cunning nature would always lead to his downfall. The riverbank redemption. Weeks passed, and the tortoise decided to make amends. He approached the riverbank, where the remaining fishes swam cautiously. "My friends," he began, "I have wronged you. I tricked you with false promises, and for that I am truly sorry." The fishes, wary yet curious, listened in silence. "To show my sincerity," the tortoise continued, "I will help protect this river and ensure it remains a safe haven for all of you." The elderly fish, swimming forward, eyed the tortoise carefully. "Words are easy, tortoise. Prove your intentions through actions." And so, the tortoise spent his days cleaning the riverbank, removing debris, and ensuring the water was clear. He guided the younger fishes away from dangers and shared stories of wisdom rather than deceit. The squirrel's admiration. News of the tortoise's transformation reached the squirrel. Intrigued, he decided to visit his old friend. "Tortoise, I hear you've changed your ways," the squirrel said, his eyes filled with curiosity. The tortoise, busy cleaning the riverbank, looked up and smiled. "Yes, my friend, I've realized that true happiness lies in helping others, not in tricking them." The squirrel, impressed by the tortoise's sincerity, nodded. "It seems you've finally learned the value of honesty and friendship." The fox's approval. Even the fox, upon hearing of the tortoise's change of heart, decided to visit. He found the tortoise guiding young fishes through a safer part of the river. "You've changed, old friend," the fox remarked, his voice tinged with surprise. "I almost didn't believe the rumors." The tortoise, smiling, replied, "Yes, fox. I realized that my cunning ways only led to loneliness and distrust. I want to make things right." The fox, watching the tortoise's genuine effort, nodded thoughtfully. "It takes a great deal of courage to change, tortoise. I'm proud of you." The community's trust. As the days turned into weeks, the tortoise's efforts began to earn the trust of the river's inhabitants. The fishes, once wary, now swam freely around him. The squirrel and the fox often visited, not out of suspicion, but to help and enjoy his company. One day, the elderly fish approached the tortoise with a group of young fishes. "You've proven yourself, tortoise. You've shown us that change is possible and that trust can be rebuilt." The tortoise, humbled, bowed his head. "Thank you. Your forgiveness means the world to me." To celebrate the newfound harmony, the animals of the forest and the river decided to hold a grand feast. The tortoise, squirrel, fox, and all the fishes gathered by the riverbank, where they shared stories, laughter, and food. The squirrel's son, who had once helped replace the tortoise's fish with stones, now brought a basket of fresh fruits. "Here, tortoise, a gift from my father and me." The tortoise accepted the gift gratefully. "Thank you, young one. Your kindness is deeply appreciated." The final lesson. As the sun set, casting a golden hue over the river, the elderly fish called for everyone's attention. Let this day be a reminder to us all. Deceit and trickery can lead to ruin, but forgiveness and hard work can rebuild trust and friendship. The tortoise, surrounded by his friends, felt a deep sense of contentment. He had learned his lesson the hard way, but it was a lesson that would guide him for the rest of his days. A new beginning. With the moon rising high, the animals bid each other good night, returning to their homes. The tortoise, feeling lighter than he had in years, walked back to his burrow. As he settled down to sleep, he reflected on his journey. He had lost much due to his cunning, but he had gained something far more valuable: the trust and friendship of those around him. And so, the tortoise lived the rest of his days with honesty and integrity, a testament to the power of change and the strength of true friendship, the elder fish's wisdom. The next morning, the elderly fish swam up to the tortoise once more. "Remember, tortoise," he said, "it's never too late to change, and it's never too late to make amends." The tortoise nodded, his heart full. "Thank you, Elder. I will remember your wisdom always." The legacy of the tortoise. Years passed, and the story of the tortoise who changed his ways spread throughout the land. It became a tale told by parents to their children, a lesson in humility, forgiveness, and the power of redemption. The tortoise, once known for his deceit, became a symbol of transformation and hope. And in the quiet moments by the riverbank, he often found himself surrounded by friends, old and new, who had learned to trust and love him for who he had become. And thus, the river flowed on, a silent witness to the tortoise's journey and the enduring strength of true friendship.